For you, Madam Chair, the meeting is live.
Thank you so much. All right. So we will begin our meeting of the Community and Infrastructure Services Committee. So beginning March 1st, 2022, the City of Kitchener has aligned with provincial changes to COVID-19 restrictions, and City Hall is now open for in-person services, but appointments are still encouraged. The city remains committed to safety of our patrons and staff, and we continue to facilitate electronic meeting participation for members of the public. Those people interested in participating in meetings can register to participate electronically by completing the online delegation registration form at kitchener.ca/delegation or via email at delegation@kitchener.ca. For those who are interested in accessing the meeting live stream video, it is available at kitchener.ca/watchnow. All right, so we're going to begin with the consent items. Can I have a mover for the consent items? Thank you, Councillor Schneider. Councillor Gazzola, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a small question on number 1.
Okay, 2.1. So you're moving to bring that out of consent and into discussion.
Please.
All right, all in favor? And that all opposed? That carries. All right, go ahead, Councillor Gazzola.
I just want to ask staff, I don't want to be second guessing them, but I don't like when we block off right-hand turns. I have a street in the ward that I represent that we have some real serious backups because of this. So, and there I'm told it was to do with cyclists more than anything else. What is the situation on Queens and Victoria and Patricia? I use that all the time, and I don't see a serious problem there or a problem.
Okay, Mr. McCrimmon Jones.
Through the chair to the councillor, this was brought to our attention by patrons of the hospital. The pedestrian crossover at this location, it's not a full signalized intersection. It's a pedestrian crossover, and it connects the main parking lot of the hospital to the main entrance. And we were receiving concerns from residents that vehicles were entering the crosswalk to turn right onto Patricia Ave during the red phase of that signal where the pedestrian had right of way. It is worth noting that a driver is not legally allowed to enter that crosswalk when a pedestrian is actively crossing. And we would assume that if the red signal is on for the driver and the pedestrian has the right of way, there is a pedestrian present actively crossing. So a vehicle should not be turning right.
Okay.
So there is a rule there, and people are disobeying the rule, and therefore you're putting in another rule, right?
Through the chair to the councillor, there is a rule that a vehicle cannot enter a pedestrian crossover if a pedestrian is actively entering or crossing. That is correct.
Yeah, so the rule is already there, so they should, yeah. Okay.
Okay, those are all your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, are there any further questions? I saw a hand up. No, okay. All righty. So the consent items have been moved. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. All right, we're going to move on to the discussion items now. So let's talk about Ontario's energy data regulation, green button. We do not have a staff presentation on this item, but staff are in attendance to answer any questions. Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, so I just wondered, I was looking at the Ontario website, and they said that electricity and natural gas green buttons would be required by November 2023. It didn't mention water. So what we're proposing here, first, I guess my first question is, does the City of Kitchener already have a green button software program for electricity and natural gas?
Mr. Abu Esifin?
Hi, how are you? Through you, Madam Chair, I'm Khalid Aboussafan. I am the gas supply and engineering manager. I've been with the city for like 6 months, and this is my first council meeting.
Well, welcome.
Thank you very much.
We don't bite. And if we did, you're safe behind the screen.
Yeah, thank you very much. And so the answer for the first part of the questions is we don't, yes, it is for gas only. We are required to abide by the regulation for gas only. And we don't have the green button currently available through our digital platform.
So what's being proposed here is to introduce it for water or just for gas? I thought it was for
Yeah,
water, but maybe I'm confusing this item and the next item.
No, it's required only for gas, but we're proposing to replace our entire digital e-billing system to comply with the natural gas requirements and to improve our e-billing system. And because our e-billing system includes water, so we are going to do it for water as well.
Okay, and beyond, like, am I correct in saying that this green button service is basically software that makes it easier for the user, the customer, to access their data? Is that correct? Like it's about software.
Yes, so the regulations dictate that all utilities should make their utility data available for the customers in a specific format, all the utilities, and they should provide it for the customers or for any third-party application that the customer authorized them to do so. So right. If we to comply with this, we need to update our database and buy the software that will enable us providing this service to our customers.
And beyond software, what about the hardware behind all of this? Does that have to all be updated? I know we've been in the process of changing meters, and I think this falls under the AMI question that comes next. Yes. But what additional expenses will we have once we update this software?
To comply with the green button requirements, we don't need to update any of our hardware, because currently the regulation says that utilities require to provide data that is available on the bills. Only whatever on the bill, we need to provide to our customer through the green button. We don't need to do any upgrade for our hardware to comply with the green button legislation.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Next up, Councillor Gazzola.
Yeah, will you help me here? I read the report and I don't quite understand what is this green button doing? I don't really understand what you're getting at. I don't seem to have, what is it going to give me now that I don't already have as a customer?
Okay, through you, Madam Chair, the green button is a legislative requirement by the Ontario government. It has been implemented, it has been talked about for a couple of years now, and it's implemented in some states in the US. It allows the customers to get their data from different utilities in the same format. The benefit for the customer is, instead of going to different portals to get their utility data from different utility companies, they can get all their data at the same type of format in one application if they choose to do that. That means that we, as the utility companies, we should be able to provide the data as in the specific format of green button.
I mean, I'm still not clear because I have no problem getting the data for Kitchener Water Gas and what is it? There's water, sewer, gas, and storm drain. It's all on the bills. It's all there together. It's all on online. No need for hard copy. I don't. You know what? Are you going to be able to tell me the consumption by day and the consumption by hour, or what exactly are you going to be able to give me that I'm not already for $500,000, what are you going to give your customers that they don't already get now?
The difference only is whatever you're getting through our portal, it's going to be the same. But what you're getting through our portal, you're getting your gas bills and water bills, you're getting them through Kitchener. You're getting electricity through Wilmot Hydro. And if you are a business and you own locations in different locations in the province, you have to deal with multiple utility companies. And that's create a challenge for you as a business owner. So the advantage is with the green button, you will be able to have all your utility bills from different companies in one location, and you will be able to compare it and manage your energy consumption in one location.
So this appears to be a benefit to our commercial customers as opposed to our many residential customers. It seems like a huge price, $500,000 to provide something to make it easier for our businesses.
There is a benefit as well for the residential customers, as they will get their electricity and gas data at the same location. If they would like to invest in solar, they need this data in a specific format. If they need to invest in energy management, they need it as well to stay on top of their data, and the apps will provide them the third-party application. There is unlimited.
So right now I have to click one icon to get my water, gas, and sewer, and then I do another one for my hydro. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Saleh, do you want to add to that?
Thank you, Councillor Marsh, and you're absolutely right, Councillor Gazzola. We do get all the information as a customer. The customer does get all the information right now. I think what's happened here is that this is a requirement by the Ontario Energy Board that we must comply. Our existing solution does not comply with, is not green button certified, and it needs to be green button certified. Unless we go to AMI, that's where the benefit will be for the customer in terms of being able to view hourly consumption data.
All right, that answers my question. My question was I didn't really understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and I guess it's to keep the OEB happy. It doesn't do much for the customers. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gazzola. Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Saleh, this is also future-proofing the technology for us as well, right? As you said, the blue button, like the portal would allow us to see live or more up-to-date consumption usage. Is it fair to say, as I guess new technologies evolve or become more affordable, where you can have instruments connecting for water consumption, we can, through this portal, hopefully in the future, also see a more up-to-date consumption data, so seeing if there's leakages within our own homes or facilities as well, right?
To the chair, yes, Councillor Singh, you're absolutely correct. This new software will be, and if we go to AMI, of course, we'll be able to, the customer will be able to view hourly consumption data and detect any leaks that may happen. And that right now, currently in the current state, this is not possible.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend like I know what AMI is, and for the benefit of the viewing public, what is AMI?
It's automated meter reading, so it's having the ability to have hourly reads sent to your phone, for example, or to your iPad, things like that.
Right, and so to answer Councillor Gazzola's question, that this is a substantive cost aside from obviously it being a legislative or not legislative, but it would be the again, government requirement that I guess retail or residential homeowners can have a huge benefit in the coming future as well, right?
That's correct. Just a couple other things that are not currently in the existing e-billing solution. For example, is customers not able to pay directly through e-billing right now. And this new solution, which we are proposing, is SCW, which will allow them to do that. And the other possible benefit here is also right now we don't have third-party account holders cannot sign up for e-billing to view bills. Just to give an example, a property management company cannot enroll for e-billing if a customer has multiple properties, because they would have to. Our current system will make them will not be able to does not allow them to not have the option of excluding your personal account. So a property management company will have access to everything.
Thank you. That helps.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I have a mover, please, for item number 4.1? Councillor Chapman. All right. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. All right. Next, we have advanced metering infrastructure. There's that AMI word. And so we have a presentation on this matter from Ms. Angela Mick, Manager of Quality Management and Water Programs.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Angela Mick, and I'm the project manager for the Advanced Meter Infrastructure, or AMI, feasibility study. Just want to make sure I can get the screen working here.
Thank you. What might have to happen is you'll just have to say, please advance to the next slide,
Okay.
or just next slide.
Thank you. Please advance to the next slide. We undertook an AMI feasibility study for the water and gas meters to optimize meter reading and customer service. We engaged Utilisys, a consulting firm specializing in utility advanced metering solutions. Utilisys has completed over 100 AMI studies. The consultant determined financial impacts and benefits and a preferred technology option. An investment in AMI represents a 20-year commitment to the infrastructure and the software, after which the meters have to be replaced and perhaps even the software. The consultant reviewed 6 options with detailed review of 3 alternatives. The detailed review included the streetlight network, a drive-by solution, and a solution which shared the Kitchener-Wilmot Hydro. Please move the slide. The current state is that the City of Kitchener has 68,000 water meters and 74,000 gas meters. We contract out our meter reading to a third party who visits the sites monthly to read both meters by either scanning the remotes or entering reads in a handheld device, which is then used to bill the customers. Next slide, please. So what is AMI? Advanced Meter Infrastructure is an integrated system of smart meters, endpoints, and sensors. There's a communication network, and there's a data management system to analyze the data and prepare for billing. And AMI enables automated communication between smart meters, endpoints, sensors, and the city. Visibility into system performance to the endpoint and smart meter level, for example, leaks. So this, combined with a customer portal that we discussed in the previous presentation, would allow customers to see their hourly data rather than monthly consumption. Next slide, please. Why AMI? So AMI would enhance customer service. There could be leak notifications, and it empowers the customer through self-service. It reduces water meter costs on the water side. There's more accurate and flexible billing, fewer service calls and truck rolls. There's anticipated water conservation as customers pay more attention to their consumption. There's potential to manage distribution water loss and quality through district metering, acoustic leak detection, and backflow detection. Next slide, please. How does AMI work? Meters send out reads every hour or whatever we determine the frequency to be. The data goes through a communications network to the head-end system. The MDM is a meter and data management system which processes the data. This is where you would take a single read for monthly billing, and also where you would start determining your criteria for customer alerts. The MDM is also the long-term storage of the data. The CIS is the customer information system where we do our billing. Next slide, please. So Kitchener is different from many other municipalities because we also operate a gas utility, and the meter reading costs are shared between gas and water. Due to gas regulations, some of the benefits of replacing the water meters don't exist for gas. For example, Measurement Canada has specific meter changeout and testing cycles for the gas. AMI is not currently common practice in the gas industry. Our water and gas loss is within industry norms. So as water meters age, they can slow down and under-record consumption, particularly at the low flows. Kitchener has been proactively replacing about 5,000 water meters per year over the last 7 years. So the benefits of increased accuracy are expected to be a bit less than for someone else who has a system with older meters. Kitchener is a large system. We have lots of meters that we need to replace or retrofit. Approximately 53,000 water meters would need to be replaced and 15,000 would be retrofit. Next slide, please. The financial analysis for water only, the cost would be 38.4 million, which includes 20-year operating costs, 16.8 million in quantifiable benefits, and a negative present value of 21.6 million. Water meter replacement and retrofit costs are a significant component of the 23.3 million in capital costs. The preliminary projected impact to the rates would be $18 per year or 4.1%, and this would be above any rate impacts associated with WIP. Debt financing would be required to fund 25.4 million, which is the capital and some front-end operating, and that would add approximately 8.9 million in interest payments. Next slide, please. We recommend that implementation of the AMI for water be considered in conjunction with the WIP review to determine the full impact on rates. The technical solution is to utilize the existing Itron Silver Spring streetlight network for water only, and gas is not recommended at this time. Next slide, please. The streetlight option would best reflect the city's desire to optimize customer service, meter reading, and efficiency efforts and allow for future growth and opportunities for water. The city must weigh the financial investment of the Itron Silver Springs streetlight network with the qualitative benefits of improved services and strategic goals. Are there any questions?
There are many. All right, so let's start with Councillor Gazzola.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not really clear on what staff are recommending. Do I understand you're not recommending the AMI for water? You're definitely not recommending it for gas, but you're not recommending it for water at this time? Is that the recommendation?
Through the chair. That's correct. We're recommending that we do a deeper analysis of it as part of the WIP. So it would be just water only at this point, but that is what we recommend, that we hold off right now. When we do the WIP, we look at the full impact to the rates, customer consultation, and everything at the same time.
Yeah, just to point out that these benefits we were talking for before really are no benefits if we don't have AMI, right? So they're right. Tell me, does our hydro company have AMI?
Through the chair, yes, they do. We looked at that as one of the solutions, teaming up with our hydro.
And even with that, there isn't a benefit to us. If we worked together somehow, if we could get into their system, it doesn't work for us.
Through the chair, it is a more expensive option. Their system is aging as well, and they're going to be looking at a replacement or some type of large upgrade in the near future, but that was an option that we looked at with the detailed analysis.
Now, you mentioned somewhere about are there many water operations across the province that have AMI, or are there any?
Through the chair, yes, lots of people have AMI. Every municipality is different. So some municipalities have very old infrastructure, or they're experiencing high water loss. Some have systems that are already compatible with their hydro system, so they don't have to do a lot of work to tie into that. Some systems are billing bi-monthly, so they want to have more frequent billing. They might have a really large geographic area. Every municipality is different, but yes, that is true.
But it is though a common thing across the country to have water systems on AMI.
Through the chair, yes, I think that's fair to say. It's becoming common.
Where that isn't the case with natural gas utilities, right?
Through the chair, yes, that's true. On the gas side of things, the meters, they've been approved with Measurement Canada, but I would say it's more in their infancy. So our competitors aren't using AMI on the gas side right now. So we would be doing something that our others aren't doing right now.
Are taking the United States into account, our gas meters, are there many properties using AMI for their gas meters?
I would say yes, that's more popular in the United States for sure, but we have to comply with Measurement Canada regulations. So it's probably something that will become more popular in the future and more commonplace, but we're just not there right now on the gas side of things. But a lot of the work we would do on the water side, we could use on the gas side later, like the MDM and the streetlight network, the communications, that piece would already be built. So it would be easier for us to migrate there in the future.
When you're talking in your presentation about water and gas loss, this is through the metering only, right? You're not talking about any other water losses.
Through the chair, our water loss is about 10% on the water side. It's through everything. So it's all water that we can't account for. Some of that is due to water meters, but not all of that.
Okay, 10% is a fair size number. So when do you realistically see us finally getting AMI, at least for our water? What do you see? Is there?
Through the chair, I believe our next WIP would have an implementation for 2024. And it would take about 3 years to do the back end sort of work, and then another few years to start changing the meters over. So once we pull the trigger on this, it's still going to be maybe a 7-year project before we have all the meters converted and
Okay.
everything.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gazzola, if you have more questions, can you please queue back in?
Yeah, no, I'm disappointed it's taking so long. I'm never going to see it.
Okay, well, thank you. Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Just on the gas side then, so I understand staff saying it's not feasible now, but trying to understand the restrictions from Measurement Canada. Is this something that we should be, like, are they being overly restrictive? Is this something that we should be advocating for to higher levels of government to loosen restrictions so we can implement this sort of automation?
Go ahead. Looks like Mr. St. Louis has queued in.
Through the chair, I don't believe that type of negotiations, I guess, or avocation out there is necessary right now. I think it just has to deal with getting everything certified. I understand now, I was just at a conference recently talking with vendors. They got the meter, because in terms of Measurement Canada, the meter is now going to be certified, but then you have to actually get the firmware to talk to the streetlight network, has to be certified because it's passing information through there. So it's going to be like an ongoing process and more individually based with our Itron, with the network that we're looking at. So, and the OEB has not had any discussions on AMI as far as I'm aware of at this point in time. And so we're really following the lead of Enbridge and others out there in the gas industry.
Okay, whereas we're not regulated by that on the water side at all.
Through the chair, that's correct. Water meters at this point in time are not regulated by Measurement Canada. And that's why each individual municipality sets their own replacement schedule.
So is it like, and maybe you don't know this, but is it concerns with the integrity or the security of the data that's being transmitted by Measurement Canada?
Through the chair, it would be that as well as the accuracy of it. Just like at the pump, when you go to the gas pump, those are certified, I believe, by Measurement Canada as well, and they have to certify those. And it's same with our measurement devices, and that's why we have a strict replacement policy on our gas meters.
Very good. I'm actually really happy to see that we're going to be using, well, that the proposal is using our streetlight network. And Ms. Mick, you mentioned that there's lots of other examples of AMI. Are there many, or even in Canada, that you're aware of that do use the Itron Silver Springs backend?
Through the chair, I was just at a conference last week, an online conference with the Canadian Water Network, and there were some municipalities on there sharing their experiences, and some do have Itron. I couldn't name them off the top of my head, but yes.
Okay, that's good. So we would obviously probably communicate with them as we go through this to see what their experience is like. Okay, very good. My other question, I remember when we were looking at this stuff early on years back that there was a potential for us to save, and it was referenced in your presentation, but would we not be able to detect like water main breaks sooner if we were on an entire system that were, because basically if we could tell the outputs and if the flow from the source is exceeding the outputs from the area, should we not be able to detect water main breaks before they're, perhaps reported by local residents?
Through the chair, I'm not sure you could detect leaks, but you would need to set up some district metering. So there would be sort of your base AMI, and then that would be, I would call it like an add-on. So then you would add additional devices and you would make sort of specific areas where you can monitor the ins and outs and things like that. But there's the options for that. That's one of the water benefits that you could look at in the future, looking at things that are leaking before they actually surface up.
Okay, so there's some outcomes we might not even don't know of yet. Last question, Madam Chair, but I would like to move this. In terms of the monitoring itself, you said real time. I also heard hourly. I'm curious on that, number one, and number two, has there been any talk about potential discounts from the insurance industry? Because obviously, if homeowners are notified sooner about water leaks in their basement, there might be some impacts and lowering of their insurance costs.
Through the chair, you set up your AMI for whatever read frequency you would like, but the more you read, the more data you have to manage, the shorter your battery would last. So right now the batteries are supposed to last 20 meters, which coincide with when we should replace the meters themselves. So if you start using that more frequently, then you start losing the battery life. So we would have to look at something, between monthly and seconds, right? So it might be hourly. And I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of that question. Oh, the rebates. In having discussions with Alert Labs or those kind of businesses that have devices that go on top of your meter, they've indicated that some insurance companies will provide rebates or those kind of things. I haven't had those discussions with insurance companies, but I've heard that in that kind of scenario where the customer can prove that they would get an alert and they would be able to respond to that, there may be the opportunity for that.
Okay, very good. I'll have a brief comment as well, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Next up, we have Councillor Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And just to Councillor Gazzola's last comment, not only am I confident that he will be around to see this happen, I'm pretty sure he'll be on council to make comment of the approach we're taking. So 7 years out is a long time. I'm kind of discouraged with that timeline as well. I think we're already 5 years out. We should have started looking at this a little bit earlier to begin with, especially as we were implementing our smart street light network. Is it fair to say that if you're looking at a 3 or 4 year to a point where we're making a policy change or decision on this, and then implementation, that technology may have already evolved or developed even further than what it is now, and that could potentially lessen the overall cost that's being determined right now?
Ms. Mick?
Through the chair, yes, that's possible. Right now, we're struggling with some COVID impacts. So we are probably going to see meter costs increase. So, there's two sides of that, but yes, the technology may come down. Itron and our street light network, there was a merge a few years ago. So there could be savings as they kind of go through that process. Yes, that could be true.
Okay, as our city continues to build out as well, and we still have portions of our city which can allow for more growth outward, so new development. Can we look at implementing a pilot project just to get better data, the efficacy of it all, and overall benefits that can help drive that decision 3 years out? Something that we can implement much quicker, but in a small area, and see what benefits are.
Through the chair, we have in the past, we did a small AMI project, and we found that unless we were integrated with the billing system, we weren't really seeing the benefits of that. The technology, there's a lot of people using the technology, so I think that piece is the easy piece to put in a pilot and inexpensive. You just put those in, but when you want to integrate it into your billing system and things like that, you have to put a lot of money into a pilot, I think, to be able to see that. So it's something we can look into.
There's no off-the-shelf products out there that can help integrate. And I thought we were subscription based on some of the software. So the number of users, right? So can that not be implemented as well? Again, if other staff can outline.
I see Mr. Chapman has queued in.
Thank you, Chair Marsh. I want us to go back just to what the intention is behind the recommendation today. I think we've done enough analysis over the years to be satisfied that the technology works, that it's viable. We understand the qualitative benefits of it. Fundamentally, the reason why we're not recommending proceeding today is because we can't justify a $20 million negative net present value and a 4% rate increase for the qualitative benefits that are achieved. If council was in a different place, you could direct us to proceed and the project could start. But we're saying right now, based on the economics of it, we can't make the case to recommend it. And for that reason, we don't want to kill the proposal, but we think it needs to come back for more work through the next rate study as a part of the water infrastructure program.
So with your summary, Mr. Chapman, I'm hearing that's not necessarily the qualitative data that's not available right now. It's primarily the substantiveness of the cost. And perhaps as a community, we may not be ready for that.
That's entirely the issue Councillor's saying. I think we're satisfied that technology works and we understand the benefits of it. What we cannot justify right now is the $20 million negative net present value and the 4% rate increase. But we know that council is interested, and so we're saying let's carry it forward and we'll look at it comprehensively through the rate review.
Thank you. That helps to really summarize that. So appreciate, then it doesn't really help to have even a pilot project. My final question is more to do with, giving the benefit to our customers who are sometimes at risk of water damage as well as water loss. That's a cost to the community as well as to the individual customer as well. In this, few years time period, can we also continue to move forward with helping our customers with off-the-shelf products that are out there, and perhaps facilitating to lessen that cost if you're purchasing those items in mass, and then they can purchase it off from the city of Kitchener? Again, we're buying in volume, and that lessens the cost to the individual customer as well. Can that something that our utility department look at, or staff need direction to consider that that type of program?
Through the chair, I can speak to, I know the city of Guelph does something like that, and I have talked to Guelph about their program. They have a rebate program, and currently they don't have a lot of uptake of that program. They did when it first came out, but I think he told me about 4 to 5 applications come in each year right now, but that is something we could look into. Okay, well, let's talk offline on that. Perhaps there's a recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So are there any, I don't see any other questions. So it's been moved by Councillor Davey. All in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Oh, Councillor Singh.
I thought you were going to take some comments.
Oh, gee, sorry. Councillor Gazzola, I didn't see your hand. You're right.
Yeah.
I moved a little quickly there. Go ahead with your comment.
And I understand Councillor Davey wanted to make a comment.
Oh, you're right. Look at all the comments coming in. So let's just Let's take the comments and then we'll take the vote again. Thank you. Go ahead.
So I'm up, is that right? I'm really disappointed that we're not moving ahead faster, because I know back in the 1990s, we traveled to Buffalo to see their gas system, who was at that time already on this AMI system, and it had been in place for a number of years, and I could really see the benefits of it. This past winter, I developed a leak on an outside tap that took several months to really narrow it down as to where it was, and there would have been a real benefit, I think, if we had a better AMI system into place. So I am a little disappointed that we haven't been able to move faster over the years. And I fully understand, as Mr. Chapman has indicated, that when you look at the cost, that would be involved at this point, the benefits to the customers don't overcome those costs. So I'm pleased that it's at the forefront here, and that we've always got one eye on it. And I'm a bit surprised that with all the techies around, that the technology hasn't moved ahead faster in this field of utilities, or there are other utilities and telephone and whatnot. I think it has seemed data collections have moved much faster. So as I said, I'm disappointed, but I do understand where we're going, and I do hope we keep on top of it. And I would like to see that 7-year schedule shortened considerably if we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Schneider.
Thank you, Chair Marcia. I echo a lot of what Councillor Gazzola has said. I understand the financial restrictions we have right now, but I think this is something that will start to pay for itself nicely and give our residents those early warnings and the monitoring there. And I hope too that maybe with our civic innovation at the Communitech, that we can move some of this stuff up maybe a little faster. That would be great. But good work by staff, and thanks for being financially responsible at a time when we need it.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I sentiment said by Councillor Schneider that complimenting staff in being prudent in its, I guess, realities of the current time with financial constraints, inflation cost, as well as just the overall uncertainty of the economy. I think we absolutely have to be careful of how we spend money going forward, and a $20 million cost at this point just seems to be too high for us to necessarily take the risk. That's not to say that this program isn't important. I said in my early comments, we're probably 5 to 7 years out already. I would have loved to have integrated something what we were doing when we were installing our smart street light network. When we have capital projects that go across the city, we need to start integrating other programs at the same time, because we have staff on site. It can lessen the significant cost of manpower and try to seek out those efficiencies. I think what's being proposed right now seems to be prudent. 7 years is way down the line. But at the same time, again, hopefully that cost will come down through technology. If you look at inflation in relation to technology, that's one area where costs continue to come down in relation, as opposed to everything else. And hopefully in this area, that's something that we will see as well. On the later points where we're asked regarding water loss and serious concerns and risks to our customers, this is something that obviously I see a direct benefit of this program. But again, $20 million across the city is quite high. we should be encouraging our homeowners or customers to look at off-the-shelf products out there. There could be some issues with accuracy, but at the very least, they do provide at least some sense of stopgap or ensuring that they can mitigate on the risk. If we can help facilitate as a city, or sorry, as a utility company, that type of product, I think that's something that we should be looking at, as our other peer municipalities have. So that's something that we should absolutely be looking into in the future and try to assist, make that information available of what products are out there. But I think what's being recommended right now is the right course of action. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Johnston.
Yes, thank you. And through you, I am thrilled to see that we are looking at moving this forward. I've been working with this type of technology in my career since the early 2000s, when I worked with energy companies across the United States, and they were looking at AMI back then. Big providers like Schlumberger, et cetera, have this isn't new technology. I agree with the piece about being prudent, but I also would like to see us do this in less than 7 years, if that is at all possible. And as well, I would love to see us do promotions of made in Kitchener technology, like the products that are available through Alert Labs. Might be made in Ward 8, actually, as a matter of fact. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, if we can even be looking at how we can provide some of those products, as Councillor Singh was mentioning, maybe there's a way of doing some bulk buys and being able to provide that would be good. And the integration of how you can then put that into your household, smart monitoring systems, and that, I think, is going to be really important. So as we look at the technology that we get, that if it can be, the most user-friendly on as many platforms as possible, is going to be really important as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Davey.
Yes, thank you. I'm trying not to repeat what's been said, but just a couple bits of feedback as we move forward with this. I did notice in the report that the lion's share of the cost isn't really the meters themselves. It's the network infrastructure and the servers, et cetera, that need to be installed to support the infrastructure. So what I would offer to is for staff to be open-minded about this, even outside of the water department, because once those those servers and network infrastructure is in place, what other uses can we have for that technology? And the one that comes to mind right off the hop for me is, for example, our direct detect system for detecting fire. These are the sorts of things we should be really leveraging our streetlight network for. So if we can offset some of those costs in other ways, that's what I want to see going forward. I would agree with my colleagues that 7 years, I think, is too long of a time frame. I know I've been bothering IT staff with this over the years, and I know a lot of it was because of the merger between Itron and Silver Spring. So I get that part of it. But anything we can do to look at expediting and lowering the costs. And the last thing I would add is I do recall the city of Guelph has installed identical streetlight network as we have through Silver Springs and Itron. So maybe we can have some discussions with them in terms of maybe economies of scale in terms of purchasing and installation. Thank you.
All points well taken. I do have a last minute question, even though we already ended it up in comments. But based on some of the comments, I'm wondering, with regard to this 7 years, would this WIP review that's meant to be for 2024 to 2028, would it be started in 2023? Can staff comment on that?
Through the chair to the chair, yes, we've actually started to scope the water infrastructure program review, and it will be taking place later in 2022 to 2023 with a report back to council in 2023 to set the next 5-year projected rates. And so as part of that review, our intent is to bring forward the advanced meter infrastructure program as an option so that council can see all of the infrastructure needs associated with the various water utilities and make a fulsome decision at that time.
And then at that time, based on the comments that we've heard today from many of the colleagues around the Horseshoe, will staff be able to integrate some of the, we'd like to know more about how might this system be able to cross-platform, not just with regard to water. And we know gas could be also, an add-on, but I've heard some other comments here today. Can staff just make a note of adding that to the report for when you follow up next year?
So through the chair, we've taken note of the feedback that we received today, and we'll work to incorporate responses to that in our next report back. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, Councillor Davey, back to you.
Oh, sorry, I was done. I just moved in. That's all.
All right.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to lower my hand. Apologies.
That's fine. So any other comments? All right. So now let's hold the vote one more time in case the comments have changed anybody's mind. All in favor? Any opposed? And that carries unanimously. All right. Thank you very much. So the last item that we have on our agenda today is a big one. It's regarding the indoor recreation complex at RBJ Schlegel Park business case. And we have a 10-minute presentation on this matter from Mr. Qureshi, Director of Facilities Management, and Ms. Kugler, Director of Sport. Welcome.
Thank you. We have a brief presentation which Kim and myself will deliver to provide update on the indoor recreation complex business case. Next slide, please. So at this slide, we provide some brief timeline for this project. If our recommendation is endorsed by council, we'll be engaging consultant team for the design work, which will start in this summer and finish next year, and which will be followed by construction in 2024 and 2025. Next slide, please. So through the business case, various design and construction phasing options were considered, such as building the aquatic and turf facility at the same time in 2024 or 2025, or building aquatic facility in 2024, followed by turf in 2027. We also reviewed various options for location and orientation of the facilities within Schlegel Park site. Three key layouts were considered. First, to maintain the existing location, which was in the original plan, where facilities are side by side along southern border. Second, to locate aquatics facilities central to the site and other facilities along southern border. And third, again, aquatic facilities central to the site and other two facilities in a north-south arrangement. We also developed the financial projections for both capital and operating costs for all options. Next slide, please. I'll hand over to Kim.
Can we just go back one slide to the aquatic center, please? Thank you. So as part of the 2019 Leisure Facilities Master Plan, the aquatic center was prioritized as the #1 indoor recreation facility for City of Kitchener. That was based on the demand. At the time, we were seeing all of our pools were at full capacity and we had large waiting lists. That still continues today. We also have engaged our stakeholders in kind of what they would envision to be included in this aquatic facility. We also have engaged staff from all the departments within INS and within CSD to talk about what things were working in our current facilities and what things were not working. And then we also went out and did site tours. So we went to Markham, Toronto, and Brampton to look at some of the newer facilities that have been built in the last 5 to 10 years. Based on that input from our original footprint that we had sort of earmarked or sort of identified, we did see growth in the size of the facility. And it's largely due to those site tours and looking at what's working in our current facilities and what's not working. And what we really heard from our user groups is that we don't have a lot of deck space, and in some of our facilities, it's really difficult for parents to see their children in the pool or have access to them in the pool. And then when we're hosting training opportunities for coaches and for teams to be on the deck space. So deck space was definitely something that we needed to increase. The other piece that we've struggled with for a long time in our aging infrastructure is the design of our washrooms. And what we're really looking at is having more unisex washrooms, which are larger, require more space, but allow more flexibility into the use of the facility. And we definitely experienced some of that with COVID when we were offering programming. We had limitations on what we could do because of our layouts of some of our washrooms. It will allow us to provide more opportunity for different types of programming that do require unisex washroom spaces. And so we're really looking forward to having that ability to adapt to that in this space. So that changeover space is really important. The other things that we're also is how do we get more natural lighting in our facilities to utilize glass and other areas within the site, and then looking at some of our HVAC systems on how they impact not just the users, but even our staff. We have some facilities where the humidity levels are higher, and we actually need to increase the staffing rotation so that we don't have staff passing out while delivering programming. So we really have included a lot of that in what we're looking at. We're also looking to make sure that we have access to community spaces. Next slide, please. Then with the field house in 2019, similar to the prioritization for the aquatic center, the turf facility was prioritized as number 2 for indoor recreation space. And that was based on demand at the time and looking forward towards growth. What's also happened within the community recently is that we've actually had some loss of inventory of sport indoor turf. And so there's a real pressure for the sport groups or the public that are using our indoor turf facilities. So there will be an increased demand that we know that this facility will now be able to address. We did increase the turf size, and that's to allow for more flexibility and us to be able to use the facility, not just as one field, but multiple fields, so we can get more practice time and more training time for a multitude of sports. So the sport groups that we engage for this site or this facility were our soccer club, both Kitchener Soccer Club, the Grand River Soccer Club, Youth Disc Sports, KW Olympic Field Hockey, as well as lacrosse and a few other sport organizations. We went and we visited some facilities within Woodbridge, Mississauga, Oakville, as well as our neighboring city of Waterloo. What we really identified is the need to make sure that the space is flexible and can be used in multiple ways by multiple users. So netting and drapery is really key. Looking at change rooms and access to change rooms, we saw different and collected feedback differently from each of the facilities. But the one thing that we really learned when we went to a facility that's similar to RBJ Schlegel, where we have outdoor fields and we have the indoor facility, is the fact that access to change rooms for both the indoor and the outdoor were really important. And so what we have done is we've looked at a design that will include that ability for the people to use both the change rooms from outside sport fields as well as the indoor, creating some efficiencies for not having to double up on change rooms. The other thing is also making sure that things are as inclusive as possible. And that's really key to moving forward. And then also you can see in one of the images, the reason why the garage door is there is that some of the facilities miss the fact that you need maintenance equipment to be able to come in and out. And how do you access that? And so making sure that there's storage as well as access proper door sizes. Next slide, please. So the site at RBJ Schlegel is actually in the slide to your left. So you can see how everything operates. And then to the right is really the subject matter that we're talking about today, which is the indoor recreational facility. So in the top right of the is the blue area, which is the aquatic center. The green is the turf area. And then to the right is our future indoor recreation and future parking. And so we just wanted to make sure that you could see how it fits to the site. So again, we included it. You can see now that there's nice flow for people using other entities within the park. The turf area being the green, people can access the fields still from coming from the change rooms and access those fields. People that are visiting our splash pad, the cricket field, or the courts that will be introduced will have access to the center hallway, which will give them access to washrooms and other amenities in addition to the ones that are outside. So really good synergy for the site. And then also allowing for future parking in the future on the right-hand side. I will turn it back to Assad.
Next slide, please. So our most important objective for this project is to ensure that we meet community and programming needs. The business case recommends fast tracking of construction to build the turf facility together with the aquatic facility, which will result in meeting the huge community need for the indoor soccer 3 years earlier than previously planned. This also saves $6.2 million. Throughout the business case, we have reviewed programming needs and have incorporated many changes such as increased turf size, more tech space for pools, inclusive washrooms, change rooms, increased storage, and improved HVAC systems. We also plan to build a high quality facility to reduce the overall life cycle cost of the facility. We'll be using durable and robust materials for construction, which will not need to be replaced or repaired as frequently. We'll build an energy efficient building to reduce GHG emissions and operating costs. Our goal for this project is to build a net zero carbon facility. Next slide, please. The total budget estimate to through the business case, the high order of magnitude cost to build both aquatic and turf facility in 2024 and 2025 is $93.1 million. This budget does include the ICIP grant, which has been approved for $17.9 million. We have also applied for Green and Inclusive Community Building Grant, which is currently under review by the GICB team at Infrastructure Canada. The key factors contributing to this budget estimate from before are listed below. In the addition of turf, inclusive washroom, storage, aquatics, as I mentioned earlier, in response to the user group feedback and anticipated programming needs is one factor. The other factor is the inflation of construction costs as seen across construction industry. There's also cost to achieve the net zero carbon design, to implement in our energy model systems such as geothermal technology, green roof, permeable roof paving, etc. There's also the additional cost of site development and soft costs. For both these items, as the construction cost increases overall, these costs also increase. Some of the additional reasons for the site development cost increases the increase in parking volume by 15%, the covered bike storage and increased cut and fill activity expected in the preferred orientation on this site. The soft costs includes the furniture, fixtures, equipment, as well as the professional and project management fees. Next slide, please. These are the recommendations to council in our staff report. That council endorses the indoor recreation complex at Schlegel Park business case, recommendation to design and construct the aquatic and indoor facility at RBJ Schlegel Park in tandem by 2025. Council directs staff to begin concept and detailed design development to commence following the approval of report and expected to continue into Q4 2023. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So if people can queue in for questions. Councillor Chapman.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, do we have any 50-meter pools in the city of Kitchener?
No, the city of Kitchener does not have a 50-meter pool.
And do you at all see this as an opportunity to have that Olympic-sized pool in the city of Kitchener?
So there is work underway to look at a 50-meter pool for within the region. For one city to sustain that on their own, it would be really challenging and difficult. The prioritization of this pool was really about recreation. It was based on community need and demand at the time. But we are looking at from more of a regional lens from the sport hosting office. We're conducting some work looking at what that may look like. But really, our recreational master plan leads us through the things that actually support what's needed from our recreational, and that's where we are at this point.
Are there any teams, some teams in the region, in Kitchener right now that actually train at one of the Kitchener pools? Or are they all training in Waterloo?
No, we definitely have we have sport clubs that are training in the city of Kitchener. They're using Cameron Heights, Forest Heights. They do some summer training at Harry Class Pool as well. And then they periodically will use Bright Up as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Gazzola.
Thank you. You're here today asking that that council approve going ahead with both the pool and the indoor playing fields. Is that correct?
Through you, Chair Marsh, that's correct.
Yeah. What was included in the original budget for those projects? And today I gather we're looking at a budget for those two projects of 93 million. What was originally in the budget?
Through the chair, the original budget included the building of the indoor aquatic facility and the turf facility.
There was no, I don't understand. This is the first budget we are seeing for these projects. I understood there was a budget already and much lower than what we're looking at today. Is that not the case?
Through the chair, that is correct. There was budget allocated to the building of indoor aquatic facility and the turf facility at Schlegel Park already allocated in the previous budget, which was lower than what is the revised budget. It was about 39 million in total.
It was 39 million and now we're looking at 93 million? It's the same numbers, but reverse?
That is correct. That's an increase of 54 million in addition to the original budget of 38.9 or 39 million.
What number of dollars, what amount of dollars have we already spent in this park? Does anybody, do you have any idea? Does anyone have any idea?
Through the chair, currently approximately 11 million have been spent on this park, and the total budget for all the outdoor phases is about 20 million.
I'm sorry, what is the 20 million for?
The overall budget for all the outdoor phases of this park, excluding the indoor recreation facility.
Okay, so what do we've already spent 11 million. We have another 93 million here. What else is slated for this area? And at what cost?
Who would like to take that?
Take that one. Through you, Chair. So what's left is artificial turf conversion on field number 3. What's not mentioned there is currently phase 2 items, which are happening right now. So the washroom conversion, that's the Heritage House that's being converted into a washroom facility, as well as the site development and operations facility. Those are the key ones that are happening right now. But there are a few others that infill that remaining $9 million.
Is an arena planned for this area?
So there is additional space that is allocated for indoor recreation. So the arena could be one of those that'll be prioritized through the next leisure facilities master plan review.
Is that not already in our budget?
The arena is not within the budget, no.
It's not in the budget that we have now.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any possibility, have we even considered it when we were looking at spending 39-40 million and now it's 93 million, and we considered doing one and postponing the other project until we have additional funding?
Through the chair, doing this postponing turf facility, for instance, to future years is going to result in increased costs. Our analysis shows that if we do the aquatic facility in 24-25 and do the turf in 27, that'll be a difference of 6.2 million. And secondly, we do have the funding in our DC funding for these projects currently allocated, which has to be approved by council.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answers.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Galloway Seelock, you're next.
Yeah, a lot of my questions were answered in the report, so thank you for a very thorough report. One thing I don't know if you can answer, but the GICB grant, is it, do we know how much we may be able to get with that grant?
Through the chair, it is, we could potentially get up to 9.5 million from that grant, but it's currently under review, and so we won't know until it's approved that what could be the final amount we get approved for.
And do we know, is there any other grants we can look at, especially because we're looking at a net zero facility? Is there any other grants that we may be able to seek out?
Through the chair, we can look into that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, like I said, most of my questions were answered in the report, and I'm happy to move the recommendation at the appropriate time.
Excellent. Okay. I thought I saw more hands up. No. Okay. So I have a couple additional questions. I'm wondering about the net zero costs. Won't they be offset by operational budget savings year over year for the foreseeable future? And has that calculation been done to help us understand the overall benefits of net zero?
Yes, it has been. So we have the high order of magnitude cost for implementing net zero systems. We have done the financial projections, and those are included in the report, which show that, you know, if we don't get the approval for the GICB grant at all, then how many years it will take us to, what will be the ROI? And it also looks at the scenario where if we get approved for 100% of the grant, which is 9.5 million, what will be the ROI on that?
Okay, great. And then has staff considered the option of installing a bubble over the outdoor turf area so that it could be used in all 4 seasons? Even if there's an indoor turf facility, if the need is there, or even previous to the outdoor facility being built, is a bubble within the range of options? Ms. Kugler?
Thank you, Chair Marsh. At this point, it has not been scoped or identified. There's a lot that's changing within the turf supply in the community right now. So those are things that we'll have to explore as we see changes within the landscape of what's available to our citizens in Kitchener for turf.
I like your pun there. So, okay, thank you. Yeah, I would hope that we can include that as a consideration, given that other facilities across the region are changing, and the need for soccer infrastructure is increasing. When Canada and the US and Mexico host the FIFA World Cup, you know, we will, even as we anticipate that, we are seeing an increase in interest in playing soccer, and I'm sure that will just continue to increase. So it would be good to see that. All right, so so it's been moved by Councillor Galloway Seelock. If people can please queue in for comment. Mayor Verbanovic.
Well, thank you very much, Chair Marsh. And for some reason, my fan is on, so if you're getting a bit of feedback, I apologize. As in my fan on my computer. I just want to begin with by thanking staff for the very thorough report. I think it's important to remember that this is a project that has been many years, quite frankly, a project that has been talked about for many decades and been in the making. And you know, I think we now finally are seeing that this report in front of us at a time when we know these facilities are extremely important for the growth that this part of the city is seeing, and extremely important for the needs of a growing community. I think we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge all of the work that's been done by sporting groups in working with our staff, both in terms of the prioritization of this through our leisure facilities master plan, or successive leisure facilities master plans, as well as in between them around the need for this facility. And Chair Marsh, as you just indicated, and as was referenced in the report, the pressures that will be felt now as a result of the sale of the existing indoor facility that's in the township right now, the core facility, to a dance school, and its transition from being able to be used for indoor sports to that is going to have a profound impact, and why moving forward with this in a timely manner is extremely important. Without question, we're seeing an upsurge in soccer in the community. We're seeing that upsurge for a number of reasons. Number one, the makeup of our community is changing in terms of the countries that people are coming from, and lo and behold, many of the folks who are coming to our community now are playing sports like soccer, and I'd even go as far as saying cricket, are becoming big sports in the community, and ones that we're going to need to address in the future. And this facility goes a long way towards addressing that. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize that without that staff have found a way of doing this and of putting this project together without increases in taxes, despite the cost increase, and that in fact it's being funded through development charges and grants from other levels of government. And I'd want to acknowledge the federal and the provincial government, who we spent a lot of work and time with in order to get them to understand the importance of investing in RBJ Schlegel Park, and for them sharing in the community vision around this facility. And lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge and thank Councillor Galloway Seelock for her passion and leadership on this project for many years. Without question, she has been a strong advocate of the need for this, of the role that this facility will play in a growing part of our city, and I think the time has come for us to ensure that this project moves to the next phases, and that we see it under construction as soon as possible to serve our community. So with that, I would just hope that we wholeheartedly support this, and I would ask for a recorded vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Gazzola.
Yes, thank you very much. I was going to ask for a recorded vote, but that's already looked after. This will be the largest capital expenditure in the history of our community. $93 million, and it's not over, and there's already been money, substantial funds spent in this location, and plans on the books for even substantially more dollars in the future. We really have to sort out the difference between needs and wants, and this is more an issue of wants and what would be nice to have. I'm really disappointed that we haven't even looked at other possibilities. When a project comes in more than double what we had planned that it would cost, we don't even seem to look for other alternatives or for cutting back or doing things differently just to move ahead. And yes, it will be a wonderful thing, a tremendous legacy, but at a very high cost of all the taxpayers. And I'm not sure that this is what all the taxpayers want. I think they would like us to look, if we couldn't break this up, do it over a longer span, what have you. But so you'll note from my words that I will not be supporting the staff recommendation that's before us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Michaud.
Thank you, Councillor Marsh. Mayor Barry Vivanovic pretty much covered everything in his comments. I just want to thank staff as well and Councillor Galloway-Seelock for all the hard work that's gone into this project. And I think that as this city has grown exponentially, we need facilities like this. And yes, this is a lot of, a lot more dollars than we're anticipated spending, but I don't think holding it off any longer would serve anyone well. So I'm delighted that this is going to go through and it has my full support.
Thanks very much. Councillor Davey.
Yes, thank you. Just two things. At the risk of repeating Mayor Vivanovich's comments, I do think it's really important that it's out there and that it's covered, that the cost of this facility, although the costs have escalated, is being borne largely by the developers, not the tax base. I think that's a really key factor that needs to be communicated clearly. The other thing I want to point out is, yes, it has escalated, but this area of the city is long overdue for its fair share of recreation amenities. And I think the other taxpayers, I will say, in the city that already have pools and facilities like this near them, I think that, the good people understand that people in the south end of the city deserve this as well. That leads me to my final point in terms of Councillor Galloway-Seelock's advocacy for this. I remember my early terms on council when she was fighting for this. I remember as finance chair over the years, her careful consideration, making sure that these things did not slip in the capital forecast. And I'm very happy for her to see this coming forward as it is. So I'm happy to support.
Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And just like my colleagues, I want to give a shout out to Councillor Galloway-Seelock. She has been an absolute steadfast, resolute advocate for her ward, more for ensuring that this area has the amenities that it requires. And, her work, I think, led to getting the sponsorship dollars that accelerated what that park looks like right now. And I think it's important to say this is not necessarily what is needed for this community. It's absolutely needed for this community, but it's what's needed for the entirety of our city of Kitchener. This is a district park that will serve all residents. This is a project that will be, I think it's important for us to repeat over and over again, because it's a point that needs to be hammered in, and hopefully media will cover and address this as well. Aside the high dollar cost value to this project aside, it will be borne by the development that happens in our community through development charges, the massed amount of it. But the benefits from this facility will be enjoyed by all residents of the city of Kitchener, and that's very important. Other communities in the region of Waterloo have built large facilities of what we're proposing. This is a generational project. But if you look at RIM project, in the city of Waterloo, they did it 20 years ago, a city that's a fraction the size of ours and our population. And perhaps they did it too early and perhaps when they weren't ready. But it goes to show how prudent and how cautious and how patient I think our previous councils and current council and how our residents can be, that we've waited this long. And finally, it's time. We need facilities such as these for a growing city, to ensure that we build world-class recreational facilities for a world-class city. And that's why we need to support it. And I think that's why it needs to happen as immediately as possible. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Ioannidis.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Marsh. I don't want to repeat too much of what
many of my colleagues have mentioned, but I do want to acknowledge Councillor Galloway Seelock's tenacity and throughout her time on council with dealing with this issue to make sure that this didn't fall below the radar, and as well with staff as well. Like, staff have done a great job, but I really do want to commend Councillor Galloway Seelock. And I'm not sure I'm one of the wards that's lucky to have a pool, and I know the value of that pool, and I'm not sure if Councillor Councillor Gazzola gets those phone calls or those emails saying why is there not enough space to get into our pools, because there's big lineups and everything else, and the pressure that it creates. So yes, it's unfortunate that costs have doubled, but this is the nature of the world today. And if we want to continue to be a city, we're just going to have to continue to keep moving forward and not just fall back and sit and wait for better times, if that may happen or not happen. And to me, what is the real cost if we don't do this development to our community? That's the one that I think worries me more.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Schneider.
Thank you, Chair Marsh. So much has already been said that I agree with. I also want to talk about the value of this for this community and our entire city as a community. The value of the connections and the family moments and the activities, the fun, the excitement that's going to be generated in this facility will be fantastic. So I believe it brings great value to this underserviced area of our city and to our entire city. And I do echo the comments about the great work of Councillor Galloway Seelock, not only on this, but for her ward and supporting other projects that build community throughout the city. She's a big believer in that, and her support has helped this happen and other great projects happen. So great. I want to also thank staff for the great work on this, all the environmental things that are being brought into this. It is generational. It will be a jewel, and proud to support this.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Galloway Seelock, do you want to be last since you brought this forward? Okay, yeah. Councillor Johnston.
Yes, thank you, Chair Marsh. And yeah, a big shout out to Councillor Galloway Seelock. This is incredible. This is it really is a dream come true or will be coming true for your ward and for that part of the city. And thank you so much for your tireless work on this. And I hope to see you on opening day with your kids running around there at some point. That'll be really gratifying to see. I also want to talk about this development in terms of economic development for our city. We talk about the opportunity to bring sports events here, to be hosting different things. Economic development in terms of people in different jobs that want to move to our community, that want to know that there's going to be recreational facilities here for them to use. And that's going to be a big push, more and more so, whenever we look at the success that we have in areas of sports that we haven't known in the past. We have Canadian women's Olympic gold. They won Olympic gold this year in soccer, and the different sports are growing more and more, and it is a competitive advantage for our community to have great recreational facilities in place, and that it serves every from birth to death. It's going to serve people in our community regardless of their ages and stages that they're at. So I'm thrilled to support this. And again, a shout out to Councillor Galloway Seelock. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Before I turn it over to Councillor Galloway-Seelock, I just want to point out that it has been 32 years since the city of Kitchener built an indoor pool. And it is, back in that time, our population was about 168,000. And now it is well over 230,000 when we just count the city of Kitchener. And the whole region is growing even faster. So I think it's high time that that the city steps up. And yes, it is an incredibly high cost. The actual costs of this facility are quite a lot. But again, we are not going to be raising taxes based on these costs because of our smart experts in money management here at the City of Kitchener, and we are able to work on this with other levels of government, with making sure that our development charges are appropriately priced so that we can accommodate the leisure and facility needs for our city citizens. 32 years is a long time to wait, and so let's build this pool. Over to you, Councillor Galloway-Seelock.
Thank you, Chair Marsh. First, I just want to thank everyone for their kind remarks with regards to my advocacy for this project. But the real thanks goes to staff who have been working on this for a number of years and finally bringing it forward and bringing an amazing facility forward for our community, for all of Kitchener, not just Ward 5, not even just Southwest Kitchener. It's for all of the city. It opens up spaces at other communities, community pools. There's long wait lists. It opens up an opportunity for more participation in soccer. We've already talked about how we're losing indoor turf facilities in the area. And so it's important for that. It's also important for the sustainability. Bringing forward a project that is net zero is something that's extremely admirable that staff were able to bring that forward. As it's been said, it's been many years and decades in the making, and it's time. It's time to do this project. It's time to move it forward. It's time for all residents of the City of Kitchener. Thank you.
All right, thank you. A recorded vote has been called. And so we're going to start at the highest number and work our way down this time. So Councillor Chapman.
I fully support it.
Councillor Johnston.
Excited to support this.
Councillor Ioannidis.
Wholeheartedly support this.
Councillor Singh. Councillor Singh. We can almost hear you.
He's trying to connect, I see, with his
Okay,
another name.
Okay, we'll come back to Councillor Singh. Councillor Galloway-Seelock.
I'm in favor.
Councillor Michaud.
I'm in favor.
Councillor Gazzola.
I am opposed to the staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Singh.
Enthusiastically in favor. Sorry about that.
That's fine. Thank you. Councillor Schneider.
I'm in favor and can't wait to do a cannonball off the diving board to celebrate.
Councillor Davey.
I'm in favor as well.
Mayor Verbanovic.
Unabashedly supportive.
All right, and I'm in favor as well. So thank you very much, everybody. That was a fulsome, robust conversation. Councillor Galloway-Seelock, did you have what? Is your hand still up from before? Okay, all right. All right, so can I have a mover to adjourn this meeting? All right, Councillor Michaud, all in favor? Opposed? That carries. So we'll see you all back.